You're listening to The Supreme Show with who? Me, Supreme, a.k.a. Big G, the brother with the platinum voice that'll put you to sleep. So listen, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to drop a comment.
Kareem Supreme.
Peace.
Check this out. Y'all remember the purple tape? Raekwon, only built for Cuban linx? Well, it came out 30 years ago. I mean, not 30, I'm sorry. 25 years ago on this day. August 1st, 1995. Now, I remember the first track that I heard off of this album, it was Glazers of Ice. Shout out to my boy Chris G, DJ Chris G. He worked at WRUR. That was a college radio station in Rochester, New York. And he played Glazers of Ice. And I was blown away. And I remember recording it because I thought it was a new Wu-Tang song. And at that time, Method Man album was out. The first Wu-Tang album was Enter the 36 Chambers. And then the second one was Method Man's solo album, Tikal. So I thought this was I thought Glazers of Ice was a new single from Wu-Tang. I thought it was on a soundtrack or something. I didn't know. You know, it was no internet, no way for me to find out. So I recorded it and played it over and over and over. Now, a couple of weeks later, August 1st, the first week of August, I heard somebody playing it. I heard somebody sitting in their car playing it. And so I went up to the driver and I said, what tape is that? He was like, oh, this new Raekwon joint. And I said, what's the name of it? He was like, it's called Only Built for Cuban Link. And he ejected the tape out of the tape deck, and it was a purple tape. Now, I had never, ever seen a purple tape before. Because all the cassette tapes back in the days, they were either clear or white. Mainly clear, see-through clear. Now, this was a purple tape, and I said, yo, I got to have that tape. Just because it was purple. I only heard one song off the album. But because it was purple, I said, that's something new. I got to have it. I ended up stealing it from somebody. To be honest with you, I ended up stealing it from one of my ex-girlfriends. I believe I was in junior high at the time. And anyway, I feel bad now, but, you know, whatever. Anyway, this album went crazy hard. One thing about this album, I consider it one of the greatest albums of all time. Top 3, easy. People played this album for years after its release. It took a long time for people to get tired of playing this album. Ask anybody who's in their 40s. They'll tell you the same thing. This album, Only Built for Cuban Links, people played it for a long time because it was hard from top to bottom. Everybody had a favorite song. Every time I hear this album, it reminds me of one of my friends or one of my cousins. One of the songs reminds me of one of my friends or one of my cousins or one of my uncles. Everybody had a favorite joint. And it seemed like certain songs just describe certain people with this album. This album was that good, I'm telling you. I remember in an issue of Vibe, maybe 2 years after this release, Vibe used to have 21 questions. They used to have a 21 questions column or whatever. And one of the questions was, when will everybody get tired of Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links album? And I was like, damn, I was thinking the same thing because a year and a half, 2 years later, 3 years later, people were still playing. People played this shit all throughout the 90s. Even when I went to Job Corps in 2000, people was playing this album. People couldn't get enough. I mean, this album was crazy. This album was just crazy from top to bottom. You had to be there. It was that good. They don't make albums like this anymore. I mean, now I don't even know if people buy albums anymore. I don't know. But I remember watching The Box. That was like a video show where you call and pay to have your favorite videos played. And I remember just watching Raekwon videos. Like, this album was so great. He had like 7 videos from this one album. 7 videos. Normally, rappers would have like 3, 4 at the most. This dude had 7 videos for this album. The first video I remember seeing was Glazes of Ice. He had Glazes of Ice, Heaven or Hell, Incarcerated Scarface, Criminology, Ice Cream. He had 2 more. What was the other 2? I can't remember the other 2. But he had a lot of videos for this one album. 6 or 7. I can't remember. But it was a lot of videos. This album had, if you don't have this album in your collection, you're not a true hip hop head. You're not a true hip hop head. Oh, Can It Be Also Simple was one of the videos too. So that makes 6. And there was one more. I can't think offhand right now. I'm freestyling right now. I'm doing this all off the top of the dome. This album was cold. My favorite joint off this album was Verbal Intercourse. And the reason why I say Verbal Intercourse is because normally the Wu-Tang had ever had any guest features outside of the group. Verbal Intercourse had Nas on there. Nas rapped the first verse, and when I heard that, I was like, what? Because Wu-Tang was like a family. They didn't need special guests on their album. Their special guests were the family members. You know what I mean? It was like 9, 10 of them. You know, and then they had like these other groups like Killer Army, Sons of Man, Grave Diggers. You know, they were all in the Wu-Tang family. So, you know, when they featured somebody, it was somebody from the family. But Nas, I was like, oh shit. That blew me away. Like the man in the Maxwell commercial, sitting in the chair. I was blown away. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. Because Nas was like the hottest in the game at that time. He had just dropped Illmatic. Nas was on fire. Everybody was waiting for his second album. You know? So to get us prepared for his second album, he was on Raekwon, he was on the Only Built for Cuban Linx album. Which leads me to another point. The skits, even the skits on this album, the interludes, even the skits and interludes was dope. I mean, they were controversial skits too. One particular skit, I think it was Ghostface. He was talking about biting rappers, how rappers bite off of other rappers' styles, and how they bite off of other rappers' slang and album covers. And then he was like, yeah, niggas bit off my nigga Nas shit. They saw his album cover, and he was like, these happy-go-lucky niggas, man, they always biting, and blah, 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 blah. He was talking about Biggie. Because on Nas' Illmatic, on the front cover of the Illmatic, you know, it's Nas' baby picture. You look at the front cover of Ready to Die, it's Biggie's baby picture. So that was a direct bite. And Ghostface called him out on that. And they were saying biting was illegal. You know, biting was blasphemy in hip hop back then. People bite all the time now, you know, but back then that was a no-no, and people were still biting off the Wu-Tang after they warned them. That's why on the Wu-Tang Forever album, RZA said on the skit, he was like, man, we told y'all to stop biting our shit. He said, we told y'all on the Cuban Linx album, y'all niggas still biting. RZA was ahead of his time as far as production. I just want to make that clear. RZA made me want to start producing beats because his everything, his snares, his synthesizers were gritty. Like everything was just gritty. It sounded like he made this in his basement. You know, it was melodic. He would have female singers come in and harmonize over some gritty sounding hip hop tracks. It just was unlike anything I ever heard of. You know, RZA is in my top 3 favorite producers of all time. It's him, the Bomb Squad, and Marley Marl and DJ Premier. But RZA was doing things that I haven't heard anybody do since. Like, he was creating his own gritty, grimy sounds. Like, you know, it was just, today it's unmatched. I mean, I don't know what RZA was doing. I don't know what he was drinking. I'm sure he probably was drinking Old English 800 like everybody else at the time, but his sounds was just unbelievable. You know, he was sampling kung fu movies, he was taking the sounds from kung fu movies and making them melodic and including them in his production. It was just crazy off the wall. Like, I'd never heard anything like it before or after. You know, they say every good producer has like 5 years, 5-6 years, a 5 or 6 year period, you know, where they're on top. But RZA production lasted for a long time. I mean, like, even to this day, I still hear these young producers like copying some of the RZA style, like those chipmunk samples. I mean, Marley Marl, he played a big part in the beginning of that, but RZA took it to the next level. And you hear some of RZA style production in a lot of Kanye West productions too. You know, back in those days, back in the 90s, if RZA produced a track on an album, we bought it. We bought that album just to hear RZA, just to hear the beat he did. Like, I ain't gonna lie, when Biggie's Life After Death album came out, I bought it just to hear the RZA track, because RZA produced the beat Long Kiss Goodnight. You know, I probably would have bought it anyway, but I was really concerned with the RZA produced track, the track that RZA produced. You know, same thing with Big Pun's album. Was it Capital Punishment? RZA produced a track on that with Prodigy and all them. I bought that album just to hear that. You know, I mean, both of these albums were top to bottom punning Biggie, but you know, once I saw the RZA produce something on the album, I'm going to buy it just because he on there. You know. Yep. This is something we used to talk about a long time ago when this album was hot. When it was in its prime, we used to talk about some of the skits and like some of the verses. You know, like on some of the songs, some of the verses were controversial. This one particular verse on, I believe it was Verbal Intercourse, Ghostface said, "I don't keep Jack in my lab. I don't want to see Tupac. Got 2 spots with 2 Glocks." And at this time, Tupac was in prison. And I thought for damn sure when Tupac heard this, he was going to go at him, because Tupac was that kind of dude. But he never responded. But he responded to everybody else that mentioned his name. But he didn't respond to the Wu-Tang, because the Wu-Tang wasn't no joke. You know, they were always 15, 20 deep. You know, even at the 95 Source Music Awards, August 3rd, 1995, two days after the Cuban Linx album came out, the Wu-Tang was there. And from what I heard, I remember Chris G, he played, I guess he recorded the 95 Source Awards on VHS or whatever, and he played it on the radio station. He played it on his radio station show, straight from the underground. And the Wu-Tang was there. Nobody said nothing to the Wu-Tang. Like, you know, ODB was there. He was drunk or whatever, and he was, you know, acting a fool as usual. And you know, wasn't nobody touching the Wu-Tang at this time, man. You know, these dudes wasn't no joke, man. They was a force to be reckoned with. I'm not gonna go track for track throughout the whole album, but another one of my favorite tracks was the Ice Cream song. Watch these rap niggas get all up in your guts. French vanilla, butter, pecan, chocolate deluxe. Even caramel sauce. Oh man, I remember Halloween 1995. It's like we went to a Halloween party, and people played that. Every car system that went by was playing that one song. That one song, and the girls just loved it. I mean, girls were wearing, Puerto Rican girls had on shirts that said butter pecan Rican, and white girls had on French vanilla shirts, and light-skinned girls, brown-skinned girls had on caramel Sunday shirts, and the dark skin. It just, that song brings back memories of my teenage years and just having fun, man. You know, everything was about having fun. In order for you to get shot, you really had to do something stupid. You know, we was all about knuckling up, man. It wasn't nobody thinking about killing nobody. You know what I mean? That you really had to do something in order to get shot. You know, but now things are totally different. Back then, we was worried about getting jumped. You know, we stuck together so we wouldn't, you know, so we wouldn't get outnumbered to get jumped. But getting shot, wasn't nobody thinking about that. You know, it's just, times were different, man. You know, it was all about having fun. You know, we brought our skills to battles. You know? But yeah, this Only Built for Cuban Linx album, the cassette tape was so dope. When I heard that it was a bonus track on the CD, I went out and bought the CD and the vinyl. I had it on CD, cassette, and vinyl. The reason why I bought the vinyl because I thought the records were going to be purple, but they wasn't. So yeah, it was a bonus track. It was called North Star Jewels or something like that. It had Papa Wu. First time I ever heard Papa Wu. Rest in peace. That was the first time I heard the God Papa Wu drop science. He was dropping knowledge. He was building. I mean, this album was so great. Even the things that I didn't like about it, I liked about it. Like, I didn't like the long intro before Wu Gambino's, but it was kind of funny, you know? Especially when, I believe it was Ghostface, he was like, "Get your big avians off my mom's table, man." He was like, "What you think this is?" I thought that just was hilarious. But this album is 5 mics or 5 stars, whatever, 10 stars, whatever. If you don't agree, then something wrong with you. You must be a millennial or a bilennial, or you must just got into hip hop a couple years ago. Got any questions, or you want to argue or debate? Hit me up. Peace.